What is up, guys? Flashfire here, and today I am bringing you the team builder for week 1 of the PFC. This is a Hampshire Hawluchas versus Heroes and Zeros. This guy is called Dan. His channel is called CrateUp. A link to his channel will be down in the description if you guys want to go and check him out. He will be my opponent for week 1 of the PFC. Now, this is something that I was very worried about. You guys want to see me upload a team builder, so I'm going to go over the team that I brought, and why I brought all the different sets and all that kind of thing. As you can see, right down below me right now, we've got both of our drafts lined up right there, so you can see the Hampshire Hawluchas. Some of that stuff that you see on that draft list for me is not what I went over in the draft analysis video. That is because, more or less, like straight after I recorded that video, we opened up trading. I know we originally said we weren't going to trade until after week 1, but that was changed after we uploaded the draft analysis video. So, some new stuff that we picked up. We swapped, I believe we swapped Zygarde for Excadrill. We swapped one of our RU picks for Exploud and one of them for Hitmonlee. No, we already had Exploud. We swapped one of them for Hitmonlee. We swapped something else for Jellicent. And that's all the trades we made for week 1. So, we have made some more trades since then, but they aren't yet valid, so we'll go over those at the time. Now, my opponent's draft absolutely terrifies me this week. As you can see right there, we have the Mega Houndoom. That thing gives my draft so much trouble. As you can see, we have quite a lot of fire weakness and quite a lot of dark weakness, and that guy just absolutely tears through my team, so that's something I'm very scared of. He also has the possibility of running a Skarm Bliss core, which is terrifying. Not Bliss, Clef. I'm more scared of Clefable than I am of Blissey, and it's just disgusting. He also has right there, as you can see, the Raikou, which is incredible in this format. Fast electric types are always super scary, and then the Machamp is there, just Dynamic Punch. It's like, what? Look at my team. What switches into Dynamic Punch? Except for Jellicent, which gets wrecked by knockoff. Like, it's just... this guy has so many mons that give me so much grief. The Zoroark is a real problem for me because of my dark weakness and my fire weakness. That guy can pack Dark Balls and Flamethrower. What do I do? So... some interesting stuff going on. I'm going to stop, like, panicking and having an attack right now. So we're going to go over the spreads and sets and all that stuff that I brought, and I'm going to go through why I thought they were good ideas. So, the first mon that I decided, as I said, guys, I realized I had a massive dark weakness and a massive fire weakness. I wanted to plug that hole. Now, Jellicent would obviously be the go-to mon for a fire weakness. Unfortunately, it's weak to dark. So what we ended up doing was going for Arcanine, which... this was the place where I started my team building process, because I knew that I would need a check for all his dark types and all his fire types. He doesn't have any, well, he has one fire type in Charizard, but I wasn't scared of that. I really didn't think he would bring it just because it's not the strongest mon. Mainly at this point, I'm scared of Houndoom, I'm scared of Zoroark. And also, to an extent, this is a really good Clefable check, which is nice. So we ended up running leftovers on this guy for a little bit of extra longevity. We're going for Flashfire. Because that means that we get a free switch into Houndoom whenever he goes for Flamethrower. We get a free switch into Clefable whenever it goes for Flamethrower or Fire Blast. It's just a good time. Now, the moveset I decided to run on this, I know that his own Arcanine has, not Arcanine, his own Houndoom has Flashfire before it Mega Evolves, but I felt like Flamethrower was still very necessary on this team. It allows us to hit the Trevenant, it allows us to hit the Skarmory, and just allows this guy to fight back and be a little bit less passive. So we went for Flamethrower, Extreme Speed, because obviously this is a fantastic priority, and then we went for Toxic and Morning Sun. Now, the reason that I went for Toxic on here was I figured the stuff I couldn't touch with Arcanine, it was like Alomomola, Clefable, and like Claydol and stuff, and those sorts of things I could Toxic. I thought, because looking at my draft, I have a very physically offensive, very scary draft. On the physical side, I assumed he would be bringing physically defensive unaware Clefable if he was going to bring Clefable, which is why I put Toxic on there, because he can still take Toxic damage if he's unaware. If he's a Magic Guard, he's not that much of a threat. I can set up on him, all this kind of stuff. So I figured Toxic would be worth bringing just because of the higher likelihood, I think, of him bringing unaware and being able to chip down the Clefable. So Flamethrower is there, like I said, for Skarmory, and then we ended up running max special defense on this guy because with this investment, I do believe I went for... I might even have gone for negative attack, but with this investment, we are able to we are able to tank Dark Pulses really nicely. I think we take about 30% from a Dark Pulse from a Mega Houndoom, which is what this guy was for. Obviously, because this guy's a fire type, he's 4 times weak to rocks, it was very important to my game plan that I have to keep rocks off the field all the time. I'm saying this all in the past tense, I really shouldn't be. It's very important to my game plan, if this guy is going to be my Arcanine check, that I keep rocks off the field for the whole game. And so we're going to be bringing some decent hazard removal as well. But this guy's called Cisco. So this was our Arcanine spread. This is where everything started because we needed that Dark and Fire type check. So I'm going to go over the next one right now. Like I said a second ago, guys, Arcanine, for it to be a working check, I need to keep hazards removal as a very big part of my game plan. And obviously looking at my opponent's team as well, Stealth Rocks are going to hurt him quite a lot. He has the Charizard on there, he has the Mega Houndoom on there, and a bunch of stuff. He doesn't have that many rock resistances. He only has one form of hazard removal in Skarmory, and I believe my Arcanine can deal with Skarmory very nicely, so I wanted to try and get hazards up on his side of the field as much as possible and keep them off my side of the field as much as possible. So we ended up going for Excadrill right here. Bringing the Mold Breaker because he does have a couple of Levitate mons. He has the Claydol, he has the Lunatone, so the Mold Breaker Earthquake could actually be very good. So the moveset we've got on here is Stealth Rock and Rapid Spin, obviously, because those are the two primary functions that I talked about this guy performing. And then we also have Earthquake and Iron Head on here. Just for a nice bit of dual stab. Obviously, Iron Head does a lot of damage to his team. You can hit the Clefable, we can hit the Lunatone, we can hit the Sudowoodo, all this kind of stuff. And then Earthquake is great coverage against my opponent's team. We hit the Houndoom, we hit the Raikou, the Lunatone, the Claydol, which we would have hit with Iron Head anyway, whatever, you know. It's just a really nice move to have on here. And then the investment we went for enough... See, this is what I really like about draft format. You can, like, speed creep specific threats and then invest in different stuff. It's really cool. So we went for enough speed on this guy to outspeed, I do believe, Jolly Machamp, which hits 229, so we went for 230, which meant that we could invest the rest in HP and have an Adamant nature, and just try to hit as hard as possible with this guy. Because obviously we have enough bulk investment there that we want to just be hitting stuff. We can pick up a couple of extra KOs, all this kind of stuff. So, those are our two... I feel like these are two of the most important mons on this team. We've got Hazards Control, and we've got Fire and Dark type checks. And both of those things are super important for this battle. Okay, so next we have one of the mons that I am most excited about on my draft. This is Exploud. I looked at my opponent's draft, I ran some calcs, and I worked out that Choice Specs, Boom Burst, Okos, or 2-hit KOs, his entire draft. So I saw that and immediately went, amazing. So we're bringing Choice Specs Exploud, and literally the only two moves we need on here are Boom Burst and maybe Flamethrower. Because we have Scrappy, which means we can hit all the ghost types with Boom Burst. There's almost no scenario in which I would click Flamethrower. There might be one or two where, like, Skarmory's sturdy is broken, but it's not dead yet, and I want to make sure I Oko it, because Boom Burst does like 50 to 60%. But yeah, these are basically the only two moves we need. The scenarios where you don't click Boom Burst are so few that it doesn't really matter. I think we also went for, like, Circle Throw and Focus Blast, possibly, just to put moves on there. Like, I don't know, maybe I can pick off something that's at 1% with Circle Throw and get mad style points. I don't know, but basically, yeah, it doesn't matter what other moves we have other than Boom Burst most of the time. So we have gone for Max Special Attack, Modest, and again enough speed to beat Machamp, Jolly Machamp, because obviously Machamp outspeeding this is very bad for his health. It would not be good for Boombox to have been outsped by Machamp. So first three mods, Boombox is a fantastic wall breaker, especially in this format, especially against my opponent's draft this week, so I'm super excited about using it. The next thing we're going to do is go over our Mega Latios. Now, this week, this guy doesn't put in that much work, which really upsets me because of the amount of Dark-type threats my opponent has. He has Houndoom. Like, my opponent's draft is so threatening to Latios. It's actually crazy. He has Houndoom, Clefable, Machamp, I know it doesn't sound threatening, but you can't switch into it. Hooper, Zoroark, Trevenant, just so many things that make Latios really sad. So I decided I wasn't going to bring up a setup set this week. and I was just going to bring some threatening moves and try and hit my opponent's draft as hard as possible, as quickly as possible. This guy, in much the same way as X-Cloud, will be used as a special wall breaker, just to kind of try to punch through my opponent's team and have a little bit of recovery. Obviously, this guy's super, super bulky, so we went for max special attack, and then I believe... So we went for Timid Nature and 341 speed, because that allows us to outspeed max speed Zoroark, which would be very threatening, and just chuck a Draco at it, basically. Just like, go away. So the moves we've got on here, Draco obviously hits everything really hard that isn't Clefable. Psychic's on there because it 2-hit KOs Clefable after Stealth Rock damage if he is unaware instead of Magic Guard, which, as I said at the start, I think he will be if he's bringing it. Then we have Thunderbolt to hit Skarmory, Aloma Mola, and that kind of thing, and just Roost for a little bit of extra recovery. Like I said, this guy's just going to be there to try to kind of punch through stuff and try to have a good time as much as possible, and try not to get walled and made to cry by the Dark types and Clefable and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so the next thing I thought I would do is, as you guys can see, we have our Dark type switching, which is great. Currently, we don't have anything to switch into fighting types. I know that sounds silly, but his two fighting types are Machamp and Primeape, both of which get super effective moves versus Latios, which is currently our most obvious fighting type switching. Machamp can threaten with Dynamic Punch and also Knock Off. Obviously, Confusion is horrible for Latios, or any Mon, really. And Primeape is often going to be U-turning, both of which Latios hates and doesn't want to deal with. So I thought this shouldn't really ever be a fighting type switching, but it was going to be my dedicated check for Machamp and Primeape, which is Klefki, because without something to check those guys, my team will just fall apart to them. So I decided to go for Klefki with Leftovers. Obviously, Prankster is great here because it allows us to do stuff like Thunder Wave, Spike, Light Screen, because like I said at the start, I'm still very afraid of the special attacking Dark types. Mega Houndoom terrifies me, so we've got Light Screen on there as like a last-ditch effort to be like, no, you cannot sweep me. Obviously, that pairs well with a Thunder Wave, because then we can outspeed it and have a good time. And then finally, we are running Play Rough just so that we can hit those fighting types that I was talking about this guy checking. Now, it doesn't check them very effectively, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm pretty sure we take 50% from Dynamic Punch, but this is the closest thing we have to a check for those guys. And because of its Prankster, it can do a little bit of work here. It may well be worth running Reflect instead of Light Screen, or as well as Light Screen, maybe dropping Spike, but I feel like the potential to set up full hazards is real cool, because if we do manage to set up full hazards against my opponent, we can pretty much sweep with both Boombox and Latios, and the final Mon that I haven't gone over yet. So that's really, really cool. So this guy's going to be called Happy Keys. And we are going to move on to our final Mon, which is, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, do you see what I did there? It is Hitmonlee. Now, this guy, I'm so excited that I got this guy. Oh my god, he's one of my favorite Mons in the format, and I absolutely love this guy. Now, I figured this week, seeing as our draft, as you can see, like, our draft is not slow, but there's nothing on there that's crazy fast. We're not running a Scarfer this week, and my opponent has some pretty quick stuff. So I figured I would actually run Normal Gem Unburden on this guy, just because it would be pretty nice as like a last-ditch effort to kind of try and win. Like, everything else is gone, Hitmonlee, you're up, kind of thing, you know? I thought it would be pretty nice to kind of just have like a backup, oh no, everything's dying, I'll chuck my nuke out kind of thing. So we're going to be running, obviously, Fake Out to proc the Normal Gem and get the Unburden boost, that's always a good time. And then Close Combat, Knock Off, and Poison Jab, because I'm pretty sure Poison Jab 2-hit KOs the Clefable, Knock Off OHKOs the Hooper, has a chance to OHKO Trevenant, and then Close Combat just smacks everything else about, basically. So that was my thought process there. The EV spread we're going to be running is, we're going to be running 264 speed, I do believe, because that allows us to outspeed max speed Hooper before we Fake Out, which could be important because, obviously, we don't have to Fake Out the first time we bring this guy in. If at some point the Hooper is out and we can get a free switch into this guy and just knock it off without going for our full, like, Fake Out shenanigans, then that's great. We can still switch this guy out and use him as a sweeper later on in the game. So that was my logic there. I spelled that completely wrong. So yeah, this is the team that we are going to be bringing for week 1 of the PFC versus Heroes and Zeros, or Dan, or CrateUp, whatever you want to call him. Link to his channel will be down below. Remember to come back later today and check out our first battle in the PFC. Week 1, Hampshire Hawluchas versus Heroes and Zeros. I will see you there.